There's something now that we can measure that's doesn't have to bring in aspects of shame or anything else, and we can get folks help.
New at 10, a nonprofit and a genetic research group, both formed in Huntsville, are joining forces. The Kids to Love Foundation is partnering with iXpressGenes to better treat people living with post-traumatic stress disorder and other health conditions brought on by trauma. At the Express studio in Huntsville's Hudson Alpha building, CEO John Schmidt and his team created a blood test that can look at various levels in the body to give people a better idea of how likely they are to develop a mental illness. That test is now certified for use. It's a one-of-a-kind way to test the impacts of trauma completely with biological factors without any of the stigma surrounding mental health.
In the 80s, the number one cause of death in America was heart disease. People thought that it had stigma, just like trauma does. It had stigma. People thought you were just overweight. It was your genetics. It was your diet. It was whatever. Of course, now we have a simple blood test that allowed almost everybody does it. There's nothing sexy about it. There's nothing attributional or biased about it. We take a cholesterol test every year, and it's informed disease treatment. And now we have about 50 to 60% reduction in heart disease in the country. We can do the same thing with trauma.
The results of that test can be used by clinicians to assess the impacts of mental health treatments on a case-by-case basis, furthering research on what works and what doesn't. Kids to Love founder Lee Marshall says the time is now to have the hard conversations about mental health.
If we continue to say nothing, then we will be a generation that will be lost to trauma, and then that's just going to be, it's scientific that trauma can be passed generation to generation. So if we don't do something in our lifetime to stop it in our generation, it's just going to continue to magnify over the next generations.
The mental health professionals at Kids to Love typically treat children, but this study will focus on adults in an effort to prevent generational trauma from being passed down to kids. And if you're interested in taking this blood test, you can visit hopefortrauma.org. We'll have a link on our website later tonight as well, waytv.com. And if you head to our website, you can also learn more about iXpressGenes and how the idea for this blood test was born from the mass shooting at the University of Alabama Huntsville back in 2010. Wave 31 anchor Tori Dunnan breaks it down in a special report.